Hey there, guys. This is the recorded lesson for snow day number 5, Tuesday, January 26, 2016. Now, right now I'm watching your discussion board post come in from yesterday, snow day number 5, and so far you all are doing mostly pretty good. So I'm really glad to see that. Today we're going to start talking about drama. So in this recorded lesson, we'll talk about our I can statements, some vocabulary words, elements of drama, and then I'm going to tell you how to respond on the discussion board. So we're working on standard RL 4.5, and your I can statement is, I can name and explain elements of drama. Some drama vocabulary. Actors and actresses are male or female people who perform a role in a play, work of a theater, or a movie. Costumes, clothing worn by an actor on stage during a performance. Cue is a signal, either verbal or physical. Verbal means talking, or physical actions that indicate something else, such as a line of dialogue, an entrance that is to happen. Dialogue, the conversation between actors on stage. That's what dialogue is. Narrator, a person telling the story who is not involved in the action or related to the characters. Play, the stage representation of an action or a story, a dramatic composition, which that just means kind of a gathering things together. A playwright is a person who writes plays, and props, and I know that's kind of cut off for you all, but props are items carried on stage by an actor, such as small items on the set used by the actors. Okay, so let's talk about some elements of drama. Some of these are a review from when we learned about stories, prose. Theme, what does it mean? What the play means, that's what a theme is. So remember, we've talked about theme quite a bit when we've talked about fiction stories. A theme is the message or lesson of the writer. It's the message the writer is trying to get across to you, or a lesson or a message that the writer is trying to get across to you. It's not what happens. That's the plot. Sometimes the theme is clearly stated in the title. It may be stated through dialogue, which are words or lines spoken by a character or narrator, by a character acting as the playwright's voice. Or it may be the theme is less obvious and emerges only after some study or thought. So sometimes the theme is said right out there. Just like we talked about in fables, the theme is right at the end. But sometimes you have to infer. Use your mind and what you see in the text to guess about what the theme is. Plot. Those are the events in the story. The events of a play, the story has the story as opposed to the theme. So these are two different things. The theme is the message or the lesson. The plot is actually what happens in the story. The plot must have some sort of pattern by which each action starts the next, rather than standing alone without a connection to what came before it or what follows it. In the plot of a play, characters are involved in a conflict. The action and movement in the play begins from the conflict through rising action, climax, and falling action to the resolution. So that's not new stuff. We talked about that last fall when we talked about plot mountain, like being like a roller coaster. Okay, cast of characters. These are the people presented in the play that are involved in the plot. Each character should have his or her own personality, age, appearance, beliefs, background, and language. The reader should note character relationships with one another and their involvement in the plot. Language, which is also known as a dialect. For instance, lots of people with what we call a southern drawl. A southern drawl is a type of dialect. Specifically, they're the word choices made by a playwright. Language and dialogue delivered by the characters moves the plot and the action along. It provides the setting and defines the characters. Each playwright creates imagery, which are sensory details, through dialogue and stage direction to appeal to your 5 senses. Remember, your 5 senses, and that's what imagery appeals to: your sight, hearing, taste, touch, smell. Moving on, most modern plays are structured into acts that can be further divided into scenes and acts. Scenes are usually used to introduce new characters, introduce new settings, and foreshadow Foreshadow means to tell what will happen in future events. We've really talked about scenes when they have to do with settings. So each new setting, each new time and place would be a new scene in a play. Generally, the wants and desires of one character will conflict with another character. With this method, the playwright establishes a pattern of introducing conflict, rising action, climax, and resolution. This is the common structure of literary, which literary just means fiction, genres is what that word down there is. Moving on with elements. Other elements of drama would be stage directions. They tell the actors what to do. Instructions written as part of the script or a play. A message describing how something is to be done or how something should be spoken. They often are written in italics of parentheses. So italics is a kind of font, or they could be written in parentheses in a script. So a script is, you know, that form that tells actors lines and stage directions. So it's just how we write a story into the form of a play. It's in the form of a script. But scripts tell actors lines and stage directions. Okay, we've already mentioned dialogue a couple times, but remember, dialogue is the words, phrases, speeches spoken by each character in a play. Dialogue starts with this Greek root word di, meaning two. So it has to be spoken at least two people. Two people together having like a conversation. Okay, moving on with elements. When we first started talking about plot mountains, some of the plot mountains we looked at had this word exposition. Exposition is just the setup. It's important information that the audience needs to know in order to follow the main storyline of the play. It is the aspects of the story that the audience may hear about, but that they will not witness in actual scenes. It includes the past actions of the characters before the play's openings, scenes, or progress. So it's just kind of setting it up. Like, what is the setting? Information about the characters, a background to help you understand it better. And again, like we said before, foreshadowing means when the writer clues the reader into something that will eventually occur in the story. It may be explicit, which means obvious, or implied, or inferred. So it could be disguised. It might not be right out there. It might be something you have to infer about. Usually found in scenes, and changes how you might think about the play or what will happen in the play. The plot. Now, we've talked a lot about plot. These are the events in the story. But it could also be defined by saying an arrangement of ideas or incidents that make up the story, the events in the drama or play. So remember, conflict is the struggle. It's the problem the characters must overcome. As you get older, you'll hear about different types of conflicts, like man versus man, man versus self, where, you know, maybe the character is having a problem that they're worried about something they've done that they wish they hadn't done, or man versus nature, where the character is fighting against something else. Rising action. The section of the plot beginning in the first action of the sequence of events, moving to the crisis or climax. These scenes make up the body of the play, usually create some sense of continuous building, a suspense for the audience. So the rising action, of course, makes the problem worse. We've talked about with plot mountain, and it builds up to the climax. The climax, it's the crisis. It's usually the exciting part. All of the earlier scenes and actions in a play will build to the highest level of dramatic intensity, which just means exciting part. This is the moment where the mystery is starting to be solved. There is a twist or turning point. So remember, the climax is the crisis, the turning point where it turns around, where the problem starts being all bad to start getting to be fixed. The audience wants to know what happens next, or something is revealed. This should be the point of the highest stage of dramatic intensity in the action suspense of the play. The whole combined actions of the play generally lead up to this moment. Okay, a resolution. The resolution is the moment of the play in which the conflicts are resolved, where it's fixed. Okay, so the conflict is the resolution, the solution, the resolution to the conflict. Remember, the conflict's the problem, resolution would be the solution, how it's solved. In the play, the answer to the mystery, and the clearing up of the final details. This is the scene that answers the questions raised earlier in the play. In this scene, the methods and motives are revealed to the audience. So the whole answer to the play, or to the problem, the conflict, is given in the resolution. So the resolution is how the conflict is fixed. And there's Plot Mountain, like we talked about last fall. Exposition, the setup, background on the characters, the setting, usually tells you the conflict, the problem, then the rising action where the problem gets worse, climax where something changes to make the problem from being all bad to start getting better, falling action where the problem continues to get better, and the resolution where the problem is solved. Okay, so here are some strategies to help understand drama. You could preview the drama by reading the title, characters, and the narrator. Read any background information about the drama, about the play. You could read the play once to get the overall meaning and then go back and look for specific things. You could visualize the characters. What does the person look like? How do they sound? How do they deliver or give each line, say each line? Think about the setting, the story's time and place. Try to imagine the sets, what the scenery and the props might look like, the costumes and the lighting. You could pretend to be the director to visualize the play. To truly appreciate the dramatic literature, a student must imagine the cast, the crew of actors, the set, and the movement. So pretend you're the director. How would you film this? Evaluate, which just means to think about it and understand the drama's theme by asking what the message is the play is trying to send or help you understand. Does it relate to your life in any way? Okay, so here's the assignment for Snow Day number 5. Match the words with their definitions below. Go to the discussion board titled Snow Day number 5, January 26, 2016, and post your answers for questions number 1 through 10 below. So, number 1, plot. 2, conflict. 3, climax. 4, resolution. 5, scene. 6, theme. 7, cast of characters. 8, stage directions. 9, script. 10, dialogue. You're going to match the definition to the word. For example, number 1, plot. Those are events in a story. So, next to number 1, you would write C. You're going to do that for 1 through 10. I suggest that you do this on paper first, and then you can type into the discussion board. So you would go to the discussion board, click on Snow Day number 5. The slides and the PowerPoint are also posted right here, so you could open up the file right here and look back for your answers or type as you go along. You would hit reply, type your answers. 1, and the letter of the definition. 2, the letter of the definition. 3, the letter of the definition, and so on. After you're done, you would post your reply. If you have any questions, please email me or text me on Dojo, or you could ask me a question in the chat room and I'll also check that. Thanks so much for working hard, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.